All right, calling to order. Down Round board meeting.
Yeah.
November 18th.
Yeah.
Monday. It's good to have you all here.
Yeah.
Can we just have a show of hands?
Mohammed bin Salman is an apology.
There's an apology?
Yeah.
Okay. Peter Thiel.
Apology.
Warren Buffett.
He's here.
Warren.
Raf, James, fair to say it has been a tough quarter.
Good to see you, Matt. Folks, we've done a strategic analysis of the Down Round business plan that we set in motion 2 years ago. And thanks to a range of factors, the weakening Australian dollar, inflation,
Yeah.
The
Margin compression.
margin compression, the economic crises that have rattled the global economy over the past 2 years.
The amount of oil coming online due to fracking in the United States.
That's right. We've decided that we need to reevaluate our pricing strategy.
Mm-hmm.
As a result, the Down Round podcast is being repriced at $9.50 Australian per month, or $6 US
Yeah.
for our ever-expanding American audience.
Yeah.
But the great news is we're not changing the price until the 1st of December. So if you want to lock in the price that you're currently at, I strongly recommend you buy a yearly subscription in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, obviously, speaking to you, Warren.
Warren, pay attention, mate. You're dozing off. Head to downaround.net. You can subscribe for a year. Lock in that price at $70 a year.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's good enough for the Oracle of Omaha,
That's
well,
good enough for you.
downround.net.
Raf.
James.
Yesterday, we were at the pub watching the UFC,
That's right, yeah.
which was interesting. It was a spectacle.
It was a spectacle,
It was
right?
a spectacle as always, but it's worth bringing up on Down Round because in the house, none other than Elon Musk, Octagon side.
Elon Musk. Well, I guess from right to left. And then I guess we do the second row. Kid Rock,
Yep.
Elon Musk,
Yep.
President-elect President Trump.
Yep.
Then we had, in no particular order because I can't remember off the top of my head, Dana White kind of next to him,
course.
like regularly.
It's his job. He's supposed to be
That's
there.
his job, exactly. Then we had Donald Trump Jr. We had Eric Trump.
Yep.
We had Tulsi Gabbard. We had RFK Jr.
Yep. It was a real imperial spectacle, folks.
Front row watching dudes punch each other in the head.
After each round, the fighters would come down and
Pay homage.
pay respect to Trump, and then he would, Roman emperor style.
Like offer some advice.
Offer it, I don't know. John Jones, you got to punch him harder. But the reason to bring it up is because Elon Musk looked like not only did he not know what was going on in terms of MMA, it seemed possible that he'd never been to a live event in his life before.
It's fair to say he
Aside
looked
from maybe a Tesla earnings.
a fish out of water, it'd be fair to say.
The camera was very fascinated by him and the crew, but every time he looked like he was watching Paw Patrol or something on YouTube Kids.
As you say, at times he was having a chat to Kid Rock. What were they talking about? What was Elon and Kid Rock having a chat about?
They were talking about how they were going to save America together.
Anyway, regarding Elon, obviously, there's been a flight to sanity.
Yeah.
Well,
They've restored sanity, folks.
over at Bluesky.
Normal posting has resumed. We had a couple of people ask if we could do this episode, including someone who was who will go unnamed, but was at the pub watching MMA with us.
Yes.
That's it. If you want to get an episode off the ground, if you want to recommend something, you can subscribe to Down Around Premium, join our Discord, go into our topic requests channel, go through the formal channels, or, get in our ear like a scheming vizier at the pub while we're watching combat sports and we're at our most suggestible, 3 pale ales in, and say, you should do an episode about Blue Sky. And we did. We're doing it right now.
Yes.
But it is also the talk of the town. So, and it's a good time to do it because, we've done a couple of episodes about this battle over the future of text-based social media networks.
Well, yeah, let's foreshadowing alert. I believe at a certain point, a year and a half or so ago, maybe 2 years ago even, we predicted, and I can't remember the specific date that we set out, but it was like, we set each other a challenge. Like, what will be the number one most popular kind of text social media app out of Twitter or X? It was still Twitter at the time. Twitter, Blue Sky, Mastodon, and Threads. Well, at the time it was the Facebook Twitter because it didn't have...
Yeah.
It was just rumored.
In true Down Around form, we didn't note at all what the bet was or write it down anywhere, and we only remembered it today when we were talking about discussing this episode.
But it may well have been the end of this year. It could have been...
Feasibly, it might have been the end of last year, to be honest.
No, I think it was later than that. But regardless, I predicted that Threads, I went out on a limb and I was like, Facebook, Twitter will be the number one. Out of those four, Facebook, Twitter will be number one. I think you said it would still be Twitter, and you had Bluesky as number two.
I did. In terms of raw user numbers, I would imagine I'm going to be dramatically wrong. Anyway, some context. Bluesky, just so you know, we've talked about it a little bit before, but just so you know what it is, it originally started as a project within Twitter, spearheaded by Jack Dorsey, with his idea that he was mid-cryptomania, decentralization, blockchain, all this sort of shit. He set up this project within Twitter to build an open protocol version of Twitter that would be decentralized, wouldn't be controlled by anyone.
Portability.
This was back when there was data portability aspect, but this was back when he was in full evangelist mode for like, I have cursed the world with this product. I should never have given myself so much power to control the discourse, and I'm fixing it. I'm fixing it by building a new base functionality for Twitter that will not be in my hands anymore. I'm going to liberate myself of the obligation to save mankind.
A protocol. Now, I think it is worth touching, though, on this idea, because, Bitcoin probably had a lot to do with it. This idea that you had this, like, a decentralized, peer-to-peer, zero-trust thing, and the idea between, like, making Twitter a protocol layer or making a protocol layer, and this has been floated a lot, this idea of data portability, where, like, wouldn't it be great if we kind of rethought the internet, where imagine I can just pick up all my tweets, all of the content, all my followers, everything, and just move to another platform, and my tweets and everything would still exist, my followers would still exist, and I can kind of move around the internet in this decentralized fashion. Yeah. I'm not tied to, like, a platform doesn't own this kind of content. And I can, like email.
Yeah, and I have pure, basically, like, liquidity. I can choose between platforms. I can take the value that I carry, which is like my follower base and my list or whatever, and I can move between platforms based on, I like the way that they moderate over here. Like, I like the rules in the community over here. And then if something goes wrong, I have the right of exit. I can move and I can leave and sign up for a new service, but data and followers and whatever.
And photos and everything.
Kind of a utopian view, but it was a really reaction to like that period of, which kind of seems quaint now that the main discourse is like Elon Musk going psycho mode on X. But the whole idea where it was like, I guess it was post the first election of Trump, and like everyone thinking that social media had like a liberal bias, and they got accused of putting their thumb on the scales for progressivism or whatever.
The opposite is that the libs thought that they were putting their thumb on the scale for conservatives.
Well, that's it. Yeah, exactly. And there was all these debates, and Mark Zuckerberg was being hauled in front of Congress about politics on Facebook. So this idea of like, imagine you didn't even have to worry about people having ultimate control of your data, big tech, because you control it and you can move wherever you like. This was kind of like one of the fundamental things driving why Twitter started the Bluesky project. Parag Agrawal, who was the final CEO of Twitter before Elon Musk acquired it, played a big role in the Bluesky team. But it got spun out. It was spun out of the Twitter business. Obviously, Elon Musk had no interest in it, and it became its own separate enterprise, no longer within the Twitter organization, but it kept its mission of like building this decentralized social media platform. Also kind of trying to do it, I guess, the unspoken aspect, because one of the other platforms we talked about was Mastodon. Mastodon did this, the Fediverse, but I think anyone who has had anyone try to explain Mastodon to them will know how that is just never going to be a mass social media play, or something that an average person could possibly be expected to care about.
Yeah, because the thing with the protocol layer is that you're relying on someone to spin up a server and keep that server going, and then instate their own moderation rules and frameworks and whatnot. And if you're listening to this already, you're like, what the hell is he talking about?
That's exactly why Mastodon is not going to win that race.
As well as the fact that they call them toots.
Yeah, toots. And they have a beautiful community of IT managers.
Yeah, infosec
guys.
Yeah.
Dudes with ponytails.
Yeah.
Plenty of those on Mastodon.
Plenty of Dungeons and Dragons aficionados.
Exactly. Pedophiles.
Every platform has a problem with pedophiles.
Sorry, I got lost in the sauce for a moment there. But the reason we're even doing this episode, you're like, you've already talked about Bluesky. Bluesky has come back with a vengeance over the past couple of weeks.
Within reason.
Do not say Bluesky to a girl in a bar. Don't bring it up. Don't say, oh, did you see that shit on Bluesky the other night? They won't have seen it.
Let's talk numbers. Bluesky has had a surge post-election, basically. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
were fed up.
Post-election. So keep in mind
US
that
election.
they have the protocol. They built like the app, Bluesky Social, which is like them being like, this is what you can do with it. This can be the center, with the idea being that other people can build on the protocol in future, but this is the like our version of Twitter, and it looks exactly like Twitter, has the exact same functionality of like early Twitter, and it got a huge surge of people signing up for it. But then the hype died out. It kept its own little community. But after Trump won the next election, there was this sort of, and the discourse was that X had helped him win, and X is completely right wing and red pilled and whatever.
Yeah.
There was this massive surge onto Bluesky.
Yeah.
So that's why we're talking about it now.
Yeah.
But yes, you talk numbers.
Well, we'll talk numbers first, and maybe we can talk about culture. So Bluesky is up to around 19 million people, and they're claiming that post-election they've been adding around 1 million a day. Now, for context, 19 million isn't the hugest amount. It's not nothing.
Yep.
It's not nothing. Facebook, obviously,
I mean, yep.
3 billion.
3 billion.
To compare it to X/Twitter, allegedly around 500, possibly 600, but probably around 500 million monthly active users on X. Threads, which I know you're all wondering what's going on Threads, 275 million monthly active users. A lot of asterisks around here because these are all obviously the platform self-reported numbers. I would wager that of those 500 million X users, what portion of them are just like weird ChatGPT bots?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Like, well, basically, how many are bots?
How many are actually real people? Yeah, that is a good question because there are a tremendous number of bots on X, as anyone who's used it will tell you. And Threads,
What constitutes a monthly active user when it's so deeply integrated with Instagram?
and they constantly. I mean, I was just looking at Instagram before, and there's so much like Threads interstitial modules that they've put into the feed. Obviously, because they want to convert the vast number of users. We'll get into the culture questions in a bit, I think, because there's been an interesting. I think it's really settled as to what each of these platforms.
Well, yeah, and I mean the way to maybe get there is that, as I said, 19 million is not a whole lot of users for Bluesky, despite its like popularity. However, I will say, probably within our circles,
Yeah,
we're overrepresented. Folk like us and folk like you, dear listener,
high agency,
high EQ,
high EQ, growth mindset, the sharpest tools in the shed.
touch glass folk.
That's it. People that live the touch glass lifestyle, which I meant pejoratively, of course. But the thing I think that they would be relying on is that a outsized proportion of that are, yes, people that are like us, but also, you know, journalists, media types, people that had like a fair bit of influence or whatever on X.
Classically was like what weird Twitter kind of moved
Yeah.
to Bluesky pretty early.
Yeah. The people who used to tell jokes on Twitter move over to Bluesky. Whereas, you know, Threads is just the Instagram population translated over.
Plus like a heap of lib Silicon Valley types who like were early anti-Musk. I cannot stand for this. Are big thread heads.
Yeah, I mean, it's
look, liberal podcasters, like they're all over on Threads posting.
Yeah, that's right. And to a certain extent, Bluesky as well.
Taylor
But
Lorenz
you
as
say
well.
a lot of it is like negative polarization against X that's driving this like flood of refugees to other platforms.
Yeah, but with Threads, as we've discussed before, it's got enough users that it is a disparate kind of random assortment of people, you know, from like rappers and musician stands or whatever, who like X is far too intimidating to like, if you're like an 18-year-old,
If you're a normal
like,
person, I actually
Charlie
don't.
XCX kind of super fan, you're not just going to like, oh, I've heard that this X place is really cool, I might download that app and sign up.
The learning curve to like get on X and start reading it, engaging with it, has got to be just sky high.
Yeah.
Like, I fully accept that, you know, there's a bunch of people who have probably been driven to it. I don't know, I couldn't put a number on it, but I assume there's a number of people who have been attracted by kind of like the right-wing culture war stuff and been like, that sounds sick.
It's happening on X.
It's all happening on X. As we said, you
the
know,
everything app.
it was funny when we were watching UFC yesterday, and it's got to be the only mass event that like prominently still like displays tweets.
Yeah.
Except that with like the X logo.
Yeah.
Like they're fully leaned into being this kind of like, we are like an X broad, whereas you don't see it on the news anymore.
No.
You don't see like that little X icon under the news presenters.
And nor do you see Threads or anything else. they were always like, we're not going to do politics
Yeah.
or news or whatever. We are going to lean into more like pop culture and watching Married at First Sight and like threadsing along to it or whatever it is.
Live threading.
Live threading. I feel like feels like it has kind of worked. I mean, I'm not a big thread head.
No, I think it has worked.
But this is what I mean by like, if you're a Charlie XCX fan, it makes perfect sense to just be like posting about Charlie on threads.
Yeah, well, yeah, you would think so. Yeah, if your main impetus is talking about a Netflix show, this sounds like really pejorative, like I'm looking down on these people. But I mean, like, you know, if you want to talk about pop culture, it seems like a natural place to go. If only because you're being like funneled from Instagram, where a huge amount of that discourse happens.
Because Meta's
but
algorithms
again,
are so good, though, you'll see some thread surfaced being like, I actually think Charlie is really sick and unwell. What's happened to her? They're working her too hard.
I mean, that's
and you're like, damn, I need to see the comments about this, and I might even have to get involved.
Yeah, that's true. Although, to be fair, X still has a lot. If you're part of any sort of psycho fandom,
yes,
there's a lot going on. Like, you know, if you want to get chewed out by like a Brazilian Ariana Grande fan who will kill you, who will send a bomb to your house for suggesting that she looks a bit anorexic on the Wicked press tour, X is still the place to go. That's the big leagues.
Yeah. But that's the thing. You've got to be a certain level of psycho to be honest.
Threads is Plumbers League, you know? Whereas on X, true fandom, K-pop fans that'll rip your head off, you know, people that are really going to war over who likes Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and who thinks she's a poser.
But it's worth pointing out, like, part of this also comes down to, like, moderation algorithms, right? Again, like, Meta are very good at moderation over the years. I mean, you know, there's a bunch of crazy shit that still happens. I'm not saying it's perfect.
They've invested very heavily in this stuff.
More money than I'd say 70% of nations' GDP in moderation algorithms and whatnot. Whereas X, it's like you can threaten to kill someone and it's just going to be there. It's just going to be there as a reply to the tweet.
You may get banned, but then if you respond and say, I've been wokely censored, their like auto anti-woke algorithm will unban your account.
No, but whereas like if you are a genuine psycho on like a Meta platform, they'll just like, you'll be shadow banned. You actually will be. You know, Meta are better at that. So it is what it is. Like, does it make that a particularly interesting platform? From someone like my perspective, no.
Probably not. I mean, if you look at Threads, and this is the thing, and I'll draw this back to the Blue Sky stuff and why I've gotten back on there and started posting a bit, you know.
We got a actually good time. We're on Downround is on Threads.
Yeah, downround.bsky.social or whatever their fucking awful handles are. You can change your handle to a URL that you own by just.
So we could be downround at downround.net.
No, just downround.net as your handle.
Just downround.net.
Yeah, like mine is at jhennessy.com.
Okay.
And you just have to put something into your site's DNS settings basically just to confirm that you own it. Which, to be honest, I think is a smart way.
A TXT file.
Yeah. I think it is a smart way to handle verification, to be honest. Like, completely liberates it from... You get rid of both the classic Twitter problem of, well, who deserves to be verified?
Yeah.
Which is obviously something that became very controversial.
Because Colgate or whatever can be just Colgate.com.
Yeah, exactly. And it ask a little bit more of you, or as like a viewer, to like make the rational connection and be like, oh, this person has the URL of whatever.com, so that they are probably the real M&Ms.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously it does open up that kettle of, the fishing kettle of fish of like microsoft or whatever.
Yeah, that is true, actually. I haven't seen that play out.
Well,
but
this is a big theme though. Right now, one of the main allures of Blue Sky is like there aren't friggin' bots and there's no revenue share agreement, like blah, blah, blah.
Well, this is the thing that I've gotten back on there and started posting. And it is a bit of a bizarre time capsule to like Twitter in 2014 or 2015 or whatever, when it was like very not algorithmic in terms of the content it served up to you. It's basically the default feed is purely chronological.
That's still an algorithm, mate.
You're so right there. You know, how does it get onto my screen?
The algorithm is most recently posted.
Yes, yeah. Very true, very true. Although it does give you a couple of like other feeds, one being Discover, which I can't really tell what actually drives it, and then popular with people you follow, which means content obviously that your friends have been favoriting, which is kind of like a rough analog for like the Twitter feed or the X feed. Although you really do realize how many insane signals get taken in by X and meta feeds or whatever, because it's very, very rough. You can tell as you look at it, this is not as engaging as my X feed.
Yeah.
It doesn't grab me like any of the meta product feeds, which have been completely optimized to hold your attention forever. But the opposite thing is that it is a real glimpse into like the pre-slop feed past, where you mostly see content from people you follow. You don't see engagement bait. And when it is engagement bait, it's like old school engagement bait, like one like, and I'll post a movie I like.
Cool.
Like real old school meta.
Yeah.
And then you actually see links out, which obviously Meta and X don't do for kind of different reasons. Meta doesn't show you that many links because it doesn't want to run the risk that you become radicalized looking at some of their platform and they get in trouble.
And I mean, Instagram itself, you got to say, they've been hella disciplined on just not really allowing links on Instagram.
Yeah.
Other than in bio and whatnot. Like,
yeah, they've been very militant about that. You do still see links, but a lot of it is like kind of sponsored content and whatever manages to get through the algorithm. And then X doesn't do it because Musk had this dream that people were going to post content natively on the platform and you wouldn't ever have to link out.
It's the number one news site in Brazil.
Like, as he says, which, and you know, he's probably right in the sense that it has cultivated.
Yeah, well,
a certain
but it's not a news site.
No, but it's not a news site, and it's like, he keeps talking about, you know, his big thing is like, you are the media now.
Yeah,
he keeps tweeting that.
Yeah, like Time Magazine in 2008. Yeah. Time Person of the Year.
It's you.
It's you.
That said shockwaves. That was the most insane thing anyone had ever seen in 2008.
I still have that framed on my wall when I was Time Person of the Year.
If you pick, exactly. Cast your mind back to 2008. Social media was in its nascency. We were still figuring out this internet thing. You pick up Time Magazine from the newsagent and it's fucking saying that you are the person of the year. That is crazy shit. That is next level. But I don't see any examples very often of like Elon's thing of like, you are the media now, you're all citizen journalists. What is he talking about? Like, okay, people post videos of stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
Cool. I was learning about that shit in like university.
Yeah.
Well over a decade ago.
Well, like the citizen journalist.
Like, the era of the citizen journalist.
yeah. The digital town square.
The digital town square, you can see people post videos online.
Yeah, this was literally like 2007.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, yeah.
And now Elon's like, I invented that with X.
The Everything app. Like, worth once again reiterating that their tagline, the Everything app, is supposed to imply that like we do commerce on there and we do everything. We live on there. We order our Ubers via X. It's like, no, we just still see racist content.
Yeah, I see videos of like fights on the New York subway.
The Everything app.
It's the Everything app. Well, I did see a funny post on Bluesky where someone was like, that's it. I've moved up to Bluesky. I'm only going to be using X for my banking. But the thing that I noticed about Bluesky straight away is that, like, because there's a lot of media people on there, there's a lot of journalists, and just the kind of user base they've cultivated, there's a fuckload of links getting shared on there. And then obviously
So a great place to get on there and monetize.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you're someone who runs your own off-platform content,
yep,
be you a news publication or whatever it is you're doing, or like YouTube channel, there's a window here for you.
Yeah. I don't know if they're doing API access or not. You can look that up for yourself.
Yeah,
you could probably get on there and then get ChatGPT or what have you, plug it in, get some kind of RSS feed, which is like latest kind of tech headlines or just politics headlines. Get ChatGPT to write like a Bluesky thread with like, wow, absolutely insane what you'll learn about Bluesky, and then post some kind of thread like that and post that 20 to 30 times a day.
Yep.
With everything pointing back to your Substack. You can obviously then use AI to do various newsletters. If you want to keep up to date with AI daily and like stay in the know, sign up to this. If you want to keep up to date with microprocessors daily, not that many people are signing up to that, unfortunately, etc., etc. So yeah, get on there and spam away at Bluesky because they're not stopping you right now.
Although one thing you will notice is that it does have a really it's way different from the last time I looked at it, which was 9 months ago or whatever. It had a real hall monitor kind of culture, like people being very obsessed with, we're not going to let this platform turn into what happened to Twitter, so we need to police people stepping out of line with the way they conduct themselves here. which I found extremely annoying when I was on there 9 months ago or whatever. That hasn't gone away, but there is a bit of like a funny panic where they're like, there are too many people joining. We can't like police and coordinate like these mass blocking campaigns against people who aren't behaving in the blue sky way, which is funny to observe.
Well, yeah, it's classic internet forum behavior.
Yeah, exactly. You know that classic. Have you ever heard about this? It's called the Eternal September.
It rings a bell.
So I'll read that. Eternal September, or the September that never ended, was a cultural phenomenon during a period beginning around late 1993 and early 1994, when internet service providers began offering Usenet access.
That's right. Yeah.
So in September 1993, an enormous number of people joined chat rooms and completely changed the culture, obliterated the culture. And there's just like the old heads who were posting back then see like an unbroken chain of shit getting worse from September 1993 to now, when all the normies joined the internet.
Yeah. Because the line just kept going up.
The line just kept going up. That was like the internet was perfect and elite, and only the best posters were there. And since September 1993, it's just been going downhill. That's just the way the existing Blue Sky people are talking about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's these kind of laws of internet forums, right? Where Blue Sky is not an internet forum; it's obviously far more distributed.
But it is basically right. It was small. It had its own sort of culture.
But you basically have the most bombastic and like rigid people take over and like create like a militancy that you have to, a constant ongoing purity test that you have to abide by.
Yep.
Because like you have a situation where, okay, you post on a forum, obviously arguments take hold. The person who's the most militant and aggressive and annoying will be militant and aggressive and annoying. You now have a choice as a normal person to escalate your argument to their level as they get more vitriolic, or be like, I don't have time or inclination to engage with this psycho on an internet forum. I just won't.
Yep.
The level of discourse gets raised and intensified, where like if you want to start to engage with topics, you know that like if you have a vaguely disagreeing opinion, you're going to get your head torn off, and you have to just come at it with like this super high level of aggression and intensity. Or again, you can just not post.
Yep.
Which leads to a spiral of like normal people not posting and being like, this is unpleasant and uncomfortable and I don't really want to be here.
Yeah.
And leaving only the people who are happy to engage at that level,
yep.
Which then continues to spiral and spiral and spiral till you have like these insane situations where like a normal person might come in and be like, I actually think that maybe like we should listen to some other people's opinions on this, and then immediately getting like, you fucking fuck.
Yeah, totally.
What the fuck are you talking about, you fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
Et cetera, et cetera. And that's why like forum culture turns into like,
it's
purity tests or just like spam filled and like
that's
psycho.
right. Yeah, exactly. You need to you need to rigidly enforce norms to keep a site like an online culture healthy, but then the militant enforcement of norms also leads to like a culture that's really, really hostile. The perfect example of that always comes up is like Stack Overflow, right? Like Stack Overflow is or was kind of before LLMs and ChatGPT and whatever, like the central repository to ask questions about programming. You would be like, I have problem X. Here's my function or my code, chunk of code or whatever. What am I doing wrong? And to keep the responses high quality and keep everything above board, it had this incredible self-policing moderation system where if you asked like a slightly stupid question, you would just get chewed the fuck out. And this was all in service of, let's keep this an incredibly high quality resource. Make sure that you look for your question before you ask it so you don't clutter it with shit. But as a result, it became incredibly user hostile. I actually met a guy who's the CEO of Stack Overflow, and
You don't need to say I met a guy who was the CEO. You can say I met the CEO of Stack Overflow. Sorry, as a word cell,
I'm distancing myself as much as possible. I met a guy, he did a range of things, but one of them was he was the CEO of Stack Overflow. He was like defensive of that culture, and also talked about the fact that like his experience of using it was getting chewed out for asking a stupid question, which was really funny to me. Like, I thought that was epic, and became the CEO. Then LLMs came along and just completely obliterated it.
Yeah.
Because now people who can be, you can ask ChatGPT or Claude. This is one of the big benefits of it, actually. You can ask it an incredibly dumb question.
Yes.
And you're not going to get judged.
Yeah.
In fact, they'll be very nice to you about it.
Yeah.
Whereas in like traditional...
I'll tell you that's a really good and interesting
That's
question.
an interesting question. Wow, you've almost got it. And I think that's actually a huge reason why a lot of people use ChatGPT, not just for programming, but for anything, because it's always going to be positively reinforce you no matter how dumb your question is.
Yeah.
And Stack Overflow is getting its shit rocked as a result.
Yeah, as well as the weird... people love to post, right?
Oh,
like
to post is to be human.
Yeah. And so like one of the issues that Stack Overflow faced like immediately after GPT-3 or whatever was released is just people posting GPT responses to questions.
Yeah, totally.
Like they don't get paid for anything. It's just like the inclination.
I just love being right and like getting the frisson of excitement from helping someone.
Yeah, by just posting their question into ChatGPT and then like copy pasting the answer.
Reddit has this problem as well. There's that classic subreddit like explain like I'm 5.
Yeah,
where like people just ask questions and people respond and explain it in a really simple way. And if you look at the responses to any of those posts, it's so obvious that people are just feeding it into ChatGPT and saying explain like I'm 5.
Yeah,
and just like copy pasting the answer in there because again they love to post.
Yeah,
they want to be right, they want to be helpful, not have to put in the work to do it. Very strange dynamic. Man is a strange creature. But anyway, that was a circuitous way of saying that like rigidly enforcing norms, A, that's how you keep a online community going, but B, the moment you get an eternal September, a massive influx of users, that shit just goes out the window. There's no way you can enforce. And it's very funny to see the Bluesky heads be like, no,
go
it's like
away.
A swarm of like unpleasant people.
I got back on there, so yes.
Yeah, exactly. They're trying to keep the Raph Dixons out. You posted actually, I would love to get into this. You posted the word AUKUS.
Yes.
What was your thinking with that one?
I opened Bluesky and I was like, here's an interesting topic.
This might stimulate some discussion.
AUKUS. That was the extent of the thinking.
Yeah. Okay. And that's fine, I think. I think it's fine to just get out there and make your voice heard.
Thank you.
But anyway, the Bluesky thing is interesting. It'll be interesting to see if it holds. It does still have the problem where, like, every time I look at my feed, it's people talking about Bluesky.
You can't be doing that. Every time I open Bluesky, 1 in 3 posts still, maybe not 1 in 3, maybe that's overbearing. But I open it up. The algorithm is most recently posted.
Yep.
And there will be most recently posted people talking about Bluesky. Like we need to abandon that.
No, exactly. Post about other stuff.
I say we. I don't consider myself a Blueskyer.
No. But counterpoint, for the vast majority of its life, Twitter was a lot like that as well. Like people talking about being on Twitter and like the culture of Twitter, the hell site, you know?
Yeah, I guess so.
Although people love to complain.
No, look, I get it. People have hopes. I hope this is like Twitter, but also not like Twitter at all, because I only want it to be people I like.
Yeah.
But I also kind of want a bit of controversy because, let's be frank, you need...
Exactly. You need something. And this is there needs to be conflict.
Yes.
Right?
The classic narrative. Like, imagine writing a book with no conflict.
Yeah, with no antagonist.
No.
You need some, and
even Where's Wally Where's Wally?
Like the
Oddlaw, the antagonist of Where's Wally.
That's so true. I mean, where is Wally, first of all? Where the hell is that guy?
And what's Oddlaw up to?
But second of all, who would he be without Oddlaw? I actually Oddlaw wasn't in the original books, right?
I don't know.
I mean, like, I don't know what the law of Oddlaw or what was. I know you're talking about like the TV show, right?
No. Oddlaw is in the books.
Is he?
We got Wally, we got Oddlaw, we got Wendy or Wanda, and the wizard and the dog.
Are you sure they're not just from the TV show?
I am positive they're in the books.
Okay.
Anyway, folks, Bluesky, we've seen a little boost, but let's put it in context. 15 million people versus 500 million, not that much. Threads, 245, doing pretty well. If we go back to our bet, I'm going to say that of the threads or of the X audience, minimum 50% are bots. That puts us at around similar number.
Wow.
It's line ball, folks. It's line ball. We call it a draw?
I'm happy to preemptively call it a draw, but only because I actually don't know what the bet was. And I'm certainly not going to go back to the podcast to find out.
We'll jump in the Discord and let us know what our own bet was. Thanks, folks.
Cheers.
New ad alert. You're probably sick of hearing the old ads, so we made some new ads.
Yep.
If you're listening to this, it means that you're not a premium subscriber. There are so many benefits that you get for subscribing to premium. Number one, not hearing this ad. Number 2, not hearing other ads, although we do reserve the right to advertise to our premium members. However, we've never done it before. But past performance is not a reliable indicator
That's true.
of future gains. But you get access to the Discord, you get an extra episode every week. Let's be frank, the extra episode is fantastic. It's more loosey-goosey. You probably get to hear more of our opinions.
Our real opinions, unlike the lies we tell you in our free episodes.
Well, the free episodes are kind of descriptive. The paid episodes are analytical. Anyway,
Sounds right.
Sign up. It's not very much money, particularly with inflation nowadays. Downaround.net. See you soon on the other side.
See you later. Okay, let's do it way quicker than that.